Good morning, y'all. Hope all is well. Maybe enjoying your first cup of coffee or maybe on your first break from work. But look, we got a little video in store for you today. We're going to be pulling the 2020 mill over to a buddy of mine, Mr. Jack Hudson. He has a Timber King 2000 mill. It's gas powered, and my 2020 mill is diesel. We're going to do a walk around comparison. We're going to do a cut comparison. We're going to go through the ins and outs of what the differences the main differences are between the 2020 and the 2000. And I had a subscriber ask me the other day, what's the main difference between the gas and the diesel? We're going to cut and see how each perform compared to each other. But if y'all would ride along and let's see the differences we have. I know a lot of people ask these questions when in the market for the sawmill. There's so many sawmills to choose from, gas, electric, and diesel. And I don't have an electric mill to compare anything to. But we do have a gas and we do have a diesel. So we will try to answer a few questions, and hopefully this video will clear up a few questions you have before you make your final decision on gas or diesel. Let's get this meal packed up and over to Mr. Jack's house. We just made it over to Mr. Jack Hudson's house. We have got my mill set up. The only thing I have to do now is change the blade, so we'll have a fresh sharpened blade from Mr. Robert Westfall. Get this door open. My cut width on here, look, measuring from the ears of those rollers, I would comfortably cut 37 inches. It advertises 38, but that's gonna be, that would be pushing it. Cut deck, 34 inches wide. Give y'all a quick walk around. This is the 2020 mill. I don't think there's gonna be any or very many differences in that aspect. Besides, mine is a diesel, so the upper part's gonna be set up just a little different. That's the Kubota 25 horse controls. All right, let's walk over here to Mr. Jack's 2000. Here's his old puppy dog. Mr. Jack's, there he is, back in the back, getting us a log. We're going to, he needs a few 2x6s cut, so we're gonna throw a comparable size log, get as close as we can to the dimensions on his mill and my mill, and cut him some 2x6s that he needs for an order for a customer. $31 3/4. So the cutting deck on mine is a little wider. Other than that, just from quick glance, all this is the same. He uses his a whole lot. This mill's got a lot of hours on it. I don't know exactly what year model it is. All this is still set up the same. See the big difference in the diesel setup compared to the gas. His set works is a little different. Now looking at it, it's the same setup on the set works, the advanced set works. Very nice to have. One thing he does not have on this mill is you cannot start the engine from down here. You have to reach up there and crank it. There's the key. But throttle up is here. You can see that. Guide roller, blade clutch, all that's the same. Other than that right there looks the same. Let's run his blade out and see what we can measure on the width right here. I got y'all shaking all over the place. 35 comfortably. Cut that. So the new mill to the 2000 is a little bigger, just a little bit. We're gonna get a log up here. The main comparison, what we're here for, is how much difference there is between that gas and the diesel. Cutting, the speed, and how it handles the logs and everything else. We're gonna get to that. Mr. Jack's getting the logs ready in the background, and we'll get one loaded on each mill. And I will let Mr. Jack run both mills. He's had a lot more hours, which I got a fair amount of experience on a mill, but I'm gonna let him cut at his speed, both mills, and we'll do the comparison from there and see what we come up with. Stick around. Let's see how it turns out. All right, we here with Mr. Jack Hudson, and he has the Timberking 2000 mill. What year model is that mill?
2019.
2019. So we ain't too far off. I don't know the first year that one came out, which was
probably 20, 21.
20 or 20, yeah, somewhere around in there. The only differences I could find in the mills was that one's cut in bed was 2 inches wider, and it'll cut 37 inches comfortably. And that's about the only comparison I could find in the mills. But Mr. Jack here, he's gonna be, after we get these logs squared up, we're gonna let him cut on both mills so he can compare everything. Really, the best way that I know how is let him run both mills. But how long you been cutting?
Well, I've had a mill since 2005, Katrina,
right
after Katrina, but that was a swing mill. That first band mill I got was 2018. I had 1600
mil. I had one of those too.
Yeah, I swapped it out.
That's different animals right here, ain't
it? Yeah, right about at a year point, I swapped it out to 2000.
I guarantee it. So you've cut several hundred, probably in the hundred, close to 200,000 board feet or more.
Oh yeah. I know for a fact that I have cut enough to build 3 houses in George County.
Because you built 3 houses.
Because I cut the wood for 3 houses in George County. That's
right. Yeah, that's some pretty good. Yeah, some pretty good cutting there. But how many hours you reckon you got on that one?
I'd go look right quick. I haven't looked in a long time. I'll be right back. 1406.
1406. So experienced Sawyer here, and a little more experienced than I am, of course. But that's why we're gonna let him cut on both mills. He's had the feel of this one a whole lot longer than I've had the feel of that one, and we can just give you a complete, honest review of how everything goes, and let him decide on that, and maybe it'll help y'all out, and hopefully decide on y'all's next big purchase. But stick around, we're gonna get this party started.
I'm looking forward to cutting on that diesel.
I think it'll be a little bit different. We'll see.
Okay, here we go.
We'll see.
Here.
Yeah, the first main difference that he recognizes is where you got to start this machine.
And also, whenever I start it, I have to choke it for a little bit because the fuel line's coming all the way from down here.
And it don't have a boost pump.
Well, it does have a boost pump, but that boost pump isn't enough to really get it, so you got to choke it to get the fuel into it, and then you can hear it kick off.
And see, when you first set this mill up, that means you got to climb on top of the mill to get it started, because it's way up forward. But that's the first main difference. And he runs his blade pressure just as I do around the 1300 psi, 1400. That's what I like running my blade pressure at. Seems to do well for me. I use diesel fuel, and that's another comparison we can do on this cut, and look at the blade before and after on the pitch on the blade, and see how much difference it does make running diesel compared to soap and water. All right, his log we're starting out with 17 inches on that skinny end. 22 on the big end. That's what we got started out, and looks to be. Let's see how long we're at right now. We're at 14 feet 4 inches, so 14 feet long. Right now, Mr. Jack's changing the blade. We're both going to start out with fresh sharpened blades from Mr. Robert Resfall. Triple R blade sharpening. I have a video on that. If you would, check him out. He does a very good job on sharpening these blades. All right, you see how hard he's running his water right here. Soap and water. Set works, everything else, all there is still the same. Y'all can see the gas engine doesn't cut bad.
Got to go a little slower going into the log. It maybe could be going a little bit faster. It won't be long. We'll get this thing cut up where we can start making passes. He's getting this log cut down to where you hear the engine loading up a little bit going into the log right there. We're gonna get over here to my mill here in just a minute, and we're gonna get that can squared up so we can get started on that one. All right, so what I decided to do, I'm gonna get over here and I'm gonna square this can up, and after I get it squared up, I'll let Mr. Jack get on the mill and do some passes, and that way he can see how I run it, and then if he wants to push it harder, he can, and he can push it as hard if he wants to blow the blade up. We testing things. We liable to tear something up, who knows? Okay, as y'all can see, we just had 2 passes, just cleaning this log up. I'm gonna do a walk around while Mr. Jack is making a couple passes on the mill, and we can let him get his feel of the mill and cut these 2x6s. I'm sure hopefully we'll get a double stack out of them. But I do know this, that box is $2,500 because it's brand new. Touch her on up a little bit. We'll get y'all set up over here. I'm gonna get over here and pull some scabs off of this log. You spend more time a day unloading wood than you do cutting. I mean, I've cut a lot of wood, but I put 200 and a little over 200 hours on it, and it's most of the time because I shut it off when I unstacking wood. I turn everything off. See, that's what's nice. Look, it stops your fluid from dripping. You don't use hardly no fluid. Another difference, which ain't a big difference, is it don't sound like you out here cutting grass when you're running the mill. He's getting the hang of this mill, y'all. It's gonna be a force to be reckoned with now. I didn't come over here to make him or entice him to go spend $65,000, but that advanced set works on these mills sure makes life easy. Speeds your production up. You can see we cutting some pretty knotty stuff. That's some pretty big knot. We're having no trouble. All right, Mr. Jack wants me to get on the mill and cut. That's a double stack, as y'all can see. That's 2 stacks, double wide 2x6s. All right, we'll get over here and time how long it takes him to cut his double stack of 2x6s on the gas mill. All right, he got this log all cut up. As y'all can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 16 2x6s right here. And it's right at 7.5 minutes, 8 minutes, something like that. Not a whole lot of speed difference.
I know we ain't got the best background or nothing here. Sitting in a hotel room parking lot. The kids inside, there was too much noise and racket. They in there raising cane, so this is the best thing I had, try to get this video out tonight. But here's where we're staying. I know it don't look like a whole lot of time per log on each mill. Ain't a whole lot of time difference, 2.5 minutes. And if you add your squaring that can up, you'll add a little bit of time there. But if you add all that together per log per day, you may be getting into 45 minutes a day, something like that. You times that by 5, you're looking at 3 to 4 hours difference per week that your blade is not in the wood. And at the end of the day, when you're sawing production or needing to get a job done to get back to something you needed to take care of, that's your time, that's your money. It means a lot. A little bit of time compounds, and over a week, 2 weeks, months, throughout the year, if you're sawing production and doing it for money, it's costing you money. Time is money, and I know we've all been told that since we were little, but I mean, that's the truth of the matter.
So if that helps y'all out on the on letting y'all know how fast I was cutting on that, it ate this log up pretty quick. But we're gonna get over here and get Mr. Jack's take on all of it and the pros and cons of each mill, and see see what we can come up with. Running diesel fuel, here's our exhaust box. It was clean when we started, clean when I brought the mill over here. Still powdery, as you can see, not really clogged up, a little bit of stuff right here from the moisture in the log. But cutting with that diesel fuel keeps all that fairly dry, and I've experienced a whole lot less buildup and jams when using that diesel fuel. We'll go over here and look at his mill, open that box and see. You can tell, look, the blades squeaky clean, no buildup at all. Rollers, they're clean. I really like it. All right, you see how hard he's running his water right here, soaping water. All right, we're getting over here back to Mr. Jack's mill, and you can see how hard he was running the water. And you can see there is buildup, and it wants to build up right here. Oh, let's see if you can see. There you go. From the tip of the tooth back to where the roller guide rolls, and that has been my experience with running that water. You can see inside of here that sawdust gets caked up from the being so wet. It'll take shape in there, and it'll start wanting to see us caked up on the door and down here at the bottom. One little piece of bark can get in there and jam up. Rollers is fairly clean, which they got pressure on them. But that's the differences in running in the water and the diesel fuel. But we're gonna let him give his rundown on what differences he sees in the mills. And right now he's taking these off the mill. But hopefully we can get y'all enough information and we can all learn a little something. I did learn a little something about these log loaders I had no idea about. Didn't have any idea. I have about 1,500 hours on my 1,600 mill and 230 hours on this 2,000 mill, and I had no idea because I don't load my mill and move it very many times. All right, y'all, we got the mill shut down. We got both logs cut up. And Mr. Jack, what big differences do you see between that gas and the diesel?
Well, number one, you can start it right there at the controls. That's pretty awesome.
That's nice. You ain't climbing on the mill like a monkey trying to get it started.
Yeah. The other thing is on mine, if I try to engage the clutch with it at idle, it's going to die every time.
Oh,
I have
really?
to rev it up, and engage the clutch at the same time.
Huh. Gotcha.
So that's two differences.
Yeah, that'll save your belts too, slowing it down. That you don't have to. It don't slip every time you engage it.
Yeah. All my neighbors, they could hear whenever I engage the clutch. They said the rest of it's okay. When you engage that clutch, though, we know it.
Yeah, sounds like you running to a thick spot on your lawnmower.
But as far as running the mill, on mine, when you first start into a log, you gotta go slow, and you can hear the engine slow down and pick back up, and when it picks up, then you can go. Then you can go through it. And on yours, you don't have that. When you start into it, I mean, that engine stays pretty much the same all the way.
All the way through.
Even hitting knots, yours just every now and then you'd hear just a
little bit,
but it goes right through.
So you'd save a little time there, not having to slow down going into the log. The only time I think I ever have to slow down is when your blade starts getting dull, and when you're first getting into that wood, your blade want to rise just a little bit. But with a sharp blade, most of the time I don't pull it back too much.
Yeah, on mine, even a sharp blade, I'm going to slow down some. On a dull blade, of course, we both had sharp blades, but I'd be willing to bet that you could let yours get a lot duller than I can mine. If mine starts getting dull, like you said, when it starts doing that, I yank that blade off because it's going to slow me down so much going through that log.
Right.
That it's just not worth it to me.
And that's one thing I noticed from that on the 1600, which being gas, is I can push the blade a whole lot further having that extra torque.
Yeah.
Than I could. I'd have to change blades way more often on that other mill.
Yeah, if I have like the log that we just did, if I did 2 of those logs, after the second one, I'm probably changing the blade.
I got you.
Either that or I got to slow way down.
Right.
Where on yours, I'd be willing to bet you could probably do 4 of them logs.
Probably 4. Yeah.
Yeah,
At
without
least.
having to worry about it.
Yeah. And time's money.
Yeah.
Time is money.
Well, it's in 2 different ways because if I'm on site, I'm charging by the hour.
Right.
So they're paying me no matter if it takes longer or not.
That's right.
However, they're going to be happier with less time, and you can do more jobs.
Right. Yeah, and your quality of your wood's a whole lot better too.
Yeah.
And what is your opinion on running the diesel fuel in the water now that you can see them sitting side by side?
I'll tell you that diesel with that drip like you got going on there. I really thought that there would be a little bit more spray and smell. I didn't even notice any diesel smell when I was over there. It keeps everything cleaner, keeps the blade cleaner. On mine, there's times whenever I got to kick my water almost full blast if I get a sappy log.
Right.
And it'll start building up.
Right. And
I gotta constantly watch my blade no matter what pine log I'm on. I gotta watch that blade. And if it starts coming back with too much buildup on it,
right,
then I gotta either slow down or pour more water.
Right. Yeah, and I've noticed that you get a little spot of pitch on it, it'll sound like your blade's cracked.
Yeah.
If you're coming through there chattering, I have to stop and clean that up.
And if you don't pay attention to it, it gets built up. Sometimes it won't build up till it's halfway through the log. And then I've had my blade dip to the point to where it's actually hitting on the metal underneath it.
Right. Yeah, it'll do that. You get that pitch build up. It's like driving on an icy road. You ain't got no control. Sure or not.
So yeah, I'm thinking that the diesel is definitely worth it.
And I think as far as like you're talking about that fuel spray in the air, I think that wiper system would be another benefit on top of the running the fuel. And I know I got to do that to mine for sure. And you get it. Don't let pitch build up at all. It wipes it clean no matter what. I want to do that to mine.
But I couldn't smell any diesel over there other than it is diesel.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
But no, it doesn't make a mess. Mine right now, we didn't look at it after we got finished with that log. I'd be willing to bet you that there's twice as much sawdust in mine as there was whenever we took a shot of it before.
I guarantee it.
And I've had times where I've had to stop because the sawdust will completely
plug
up, and there's not nothing clogged in there other than sawdust.
It's just wet
sawdust, and it'll be all the way to the belt.
Right. And I've another thing diesel fuel does too is it keeps an oil film, a lube film on your blade, so when you get through cutting and you put them up, it prolongs the life of that blade too. Yeah,
whenever I shut down, I would usually shut my water off and run my blade until I could hear it dry
up,
and then I'll go ahead and shut it down. And the next morning I'll come out and there may be a couple rust spots on it.
Right.
If I don't do that, that whole bottom of that blade
be rusted completely.
It's going to be completely rusted, and it'll come off when I run it. But
right.
Anytime you get rust on that blade, you're taking.
You taking metal off of that blade, and it starts getting pitted and stressed out a little sooner.
Yeah, that diesel, and you can tell by how clean your whole mill is compared to mine. And
right.
A lot of that is that running diesel.
The running diesel, nothing's caking up and getting wet, anything like that. Just trying to look at the two and think if there's anything else. Well, the diesel does weigh more. Your cutting head has got to be bigger to handle. It's got to have a radiator. That diesel setup is a whole lot bigger, so I'm sure it weighs several 100 pounds more. Anything else you can think of?
At the time, whenever I bought mine, which was 2019, the diesel would have cost me an extra $4,000.
Right, and now it's $10,000.
An extra $10,000.
It's a $10,000 upgrade. Yeah. So
it's something to think about whenever you're initially buying.
That's exactly right. Yeah, it depends on what you're going to do with it and how much you're going to cut. If you plan on doing this, making money, hauling it somewhere, getting paid by the job, of course, cutting faster is going to be your best bet. Hobby mill, is it really worth that 10,000? That'd be that's a lot of. I bought a tractor without a cab because that $10,000 extra for that cab was a luxury.
Yeah. Same with me.
Yeah, and I didn't get the cab on it, but they both run great. They both cut great. Same advanced set works.
I don't know if it's because of the gas versus the diesel, but this is my second gas one. I had the 1600 first, and I had this one, and both of them were faster than the diesels. And you said yours
That's right.
1600 was too.
Yeah, tracking.
On tracking back and forward.
Right.
They'll raise a little bit faster, and they'll track back and forward a little bit faster. Right. Which helps make up a little bit of the difference on how fast yours cuts.
Yeah. And
not enough.
Right. One other thing I just caught my attention too. I can cut a day's job on 1 tank of fuel, and that's about what's some tanks? They're the same
right
tank.
About 5 gallons.
Yeah, 5-6 gallons, something like that. But I can cut me by myself. I shut the mill off when I'm unloading wood and everything else. I can cut an 8-hour day, which my mill is not consistently running them 8 hours while I'm, idling down. But I can cut a day on a tank of gas. Where my 1600 mill, and it was a 25 horse Kohler, I could burn 2 5-gallon tanks a day running that when I was running it 8-9 hours a day.
If I run it, a lot of times if I'm on a job and if I have somebody helping me, if the customer's helping,
right,
and I won't shut it down. I'll have it running for 8 hours straight.
Right.
And I can go through 2.5 tanks.
Right. And see, I think the fuel economy on that diesel is a whole lot better.
Yeah. And the price difference isn't that much.
Right.
Especially when you buy a farm diesel.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I think right now, I forget what the price on that diesel is right now. Just over $3, $3.20.
Yeah, and I'm using non-ethanol gas, which guess what?
So it's right there at it.
It's right there about the same.
Yeah. And I almost, just from dealing with engines and stuff all the time, I think you may get more service hours out of that diesel in the long run. Wouldn't you think?
I can guarantee that.
Yeah, I mean,
I got to do a tune-up on mine. I usually do it, I think they say 400 hours.
Right.
I don't never let it go 400 hours.
Right.
I'm usually changing the oil, changing the spark plug, and doing all that stuff at about probably 200 hours.
200 hours.
And the air filter on it, because
you're in a salt, dusty environment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one, I think that diesel, I think they recommend every 500 hours, and that's what they recommend on a tractor. I mean, it's the same engine out of a tractor. Yeah. So, and as far as the life of an engine, that diesel probably would.
You got that spark plug.
Yeah, you ain't got spark plug. There you go. Save yourself $10. Oh man. But yeah, as far as the life of the engine, in the lifespan of the engine, I think you'd get more longer use out of that diesel, which the gas lasts a long time too. It's just, it comes down to what you're gonna be doing with it. Really, is what it really comes down to. Hobby mill or going out there and really cutting.
Well, if you're cutting production, the diesel's an easy way to.
That's right.
I mean, it's obvious that it cuts fast.
Right.
If you're cutting slabs, big wide boards, it's going to cut better. Most customers that are getting slabs, it doesn't make that much difference because you're usually cutting on your own time.
That's right.
Selling the slab.
That's right. Yep. That's another thing to think about too. It is just, but other than that, them mills are, I mean, they both gonna cut, and they both can make you money. I made pretty good money on that 1600 mill. It's just a little bit slower and a little more handling them logs.
Well, I can honestly say I paid this off probably the 3rd year.
Right. Yeah, they pay for themselves quick. If you work them and you got the customer base, these mills, will pay for themselves. Which there is no piece of equipment out there that makes you money that's cheap.
No, no.
I mean, it's just what it is. Just nature of the beast. Um, but for
I've had a lot of customers. They'll call me out to cut the lumber and say, you know, I'm thinking about buying one of these. And I'm like, okay, well, you can get one for, you know, $15,000 if you want it to just set up for a little hobby thing. You know,
Right.
I said it's going to be very manual, a lot of work, or you can pay. In my case, I paid $42,000
right,
back at 19. And as soon as I say 42,000, they're like, oh, well, no, that's too much. I said, well, that's back in 2019. You
You're
buy
right.
that same type mill right now, and you're gonna pay probably 60.
Yeah, I want to say it's 56,000 for the gas, if I'm thinking, and then it's 10,000 extra dollars for the diesel. But they will make you money back if you're willing to work hard. Don't get a mill that and you think it's just gonna go out there and cut a few boards and it's gonna do something for you.
It also makes a difference if I don't do it. I just do it by myself. I'm out there. If a customer helps me, it's
Right.
little extra, but it can help. But other than that, I'm by myself all the time. And so if I had two hands working, you know,
Oh yeah.
to pay two hands and work that diesel, I could see where I could probably come close to doubling.
Oh
what I
yeah.
would on
I
this.
guarantee it. I guarantee it. Yeah, having a helping hand, especially two other guys and you sitting at them controls and not moving from them controls and having somebody operate the tractor, having you logs laid there, somebody pulling scabs off, and both of them taking lumber off the mill. You could work two people to where they don't want to do nothing in the evening.
Yeah.
You could work them down.
And then the only problem you got to have right there is the customer base.
That's right.
You got to have the customer base to be able to keep that busy whenever you're doing that.
That's exactly right. And
I'm too lazy for that. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I'm too lazy for that much work, so I just do it by myself.
One big thing I upgraded that 1600 mil. It did good. It was slower. The main reason why, well, there was two reasons. First off is I got a super deal on the mill. I couldn't pass it up. I mean, just it couldn't happen.
Yeah.
And then the next reason was the faster I could get my wood cut for a customer with me building a house, me trying to do the sawmill stuff, family to raise. I mean, it's just life. Faster I could get that order done, the faster I could get back to doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
And taking care of my business.
Yeah, all my stuff takes the side. I've been 3 years building a kiln and still ain't got it finished yet. We was talking about it earlier. These 2x6s that we just cut, I'm going to use them for the building for my kiln in my shop. Hopefully,
if you don't sell them again.
If I don't sell them again, I've cut enough wood to build that shop probably 6 times.
Oh man!
And somebody would give me a call saying they want some 2x6s about the size that I've already got.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, come on over.
Come get them. Yeah, that's money in the bank sitting there.
Yeah.
And you get a mill like one of these, or even a smaller mill, you'll have a wood storage problem.
Yeah.
You got to have the land, you got to have all that stuff. But that's just parts of having a mill. It's what it is. But other than that, them mills are pretty comparable. A little bit of speed difference. Price difference is not too overboard, especially if you're gonna mass produce lumber. But either case, they're both worth it. I mean, you could put these mills up against any mills on the market, I believe.
Yeah.
I think so. But
you would have to get up into to beat these mills, you're going to have to get up and double the price.
Oh yeah.
On some of them other companies.
Right. I guarantee it. And Thomas, if you watching, I didn't come over here to get Mr. Jack to spend 70 grand. Oh, goodness gracious. But Mr. Tom's got the 2220, which is a step above these diesel. and I think his is a 45 horsepower diesel or something like that, 45 or 50.
Yeah.
And
I'll bet his flies through it.
but it's got a whole lot more electronics to it.
Yeah.
Which this diesel setup on here is pretty basic. Which is a huge plus. It's a huge plus. Well, y'all, I thank y'all for joining us and seeing this comparison. I really do hope it helped answer any questions. If y'all have any other questions or concerns, y'all comment down below, and we'll be sure to make it happen. Get this video out and try to help y'all along the way and make the right decision. Because I know when you finance or go and buy one of these things, it is a big commitment, and it's just what it is. It's part of life, part of business. We got to do it sometimes. But look, always remember, y'all come back, you hear? Well, shoot, Mr. Jack, I got a lot of footage.
Yeah.